Angels Overcast. This is a podcast about addiction, mental health, recovery, and I always get guys that are like doing the deal, living life, and inspiring. So today's guest is Tay. Tay is very inspiring to me. You want to, before we get started, you just want to tell your social media handles to the audience?
It's Tay in Florida, Tey in Florida on Instagram, or Tay Sizemore on Facebook.
Okay, cool. And so not everybody knows you. I know you're getting a big following now. You want to just give a brief synopsis of who you are, where you're from, and how we met?
I'm from Alabama. I came to Florida to get sober via Vegas. I was homeless on the streets, had some YouTubers pick me up there and put me on a plane and into treatment down here. And as soon as I got out of treatment, I met Mike at one of my first AA meetings.
Cool. Yeah, we're in 12-step land. We try to be a little bit careful with that there, but yeah, all good. 12-step land. So, let's say, so what was it like? The YouTuber, very famous.
Yeah.
What was that like? How did that feel? Like just somebody coming straight to you?
Initially, I was concerned, like trust issues, being from on the streets, seeing the wrong side of life. I didn't really believe they were who they said they were. And then as, process went along, like realized that was probably one of the most amazing miracles I've ever experienced. Somebody, going out of their way, just finding homeless drug addicts to help get off the streets and actually did, like save my life and gave me an amazing life out the other side.
It's beautiful, man. You're gonna make me cry here already. Yeah, so that like Angels Over Addiction. So when I was getting sober in the psychiatric unit, I listened to the social worker instead of my disease. So it's like the angel over addiction. So the YouTuber, as you're talking, it just makes it seem like he was, somebody there to help you, and you listen to him instead of the disease. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, honestly, originally I heard a free flight to Florida, and I planned on dipping out, but my inner voice got the better of me because I gave him my word when I got on the plane that I would follow through when I got off the plane. So I followed through, and it was definitely those little God moments.
Sure. So hopefully somebody that's in the situation that you were in has access to this now. So like, what would you say to them now if they're, on the street and somebody offering them help?
Definitely, it's not hard to see, from being on the streets. Not a lot of people offer you help, for one. So it's not that hard for somebody to try to take it. But definitely, if you're not happy with where you're at, and chances are if you're on the streets, you're not, like, go above and beyond the initial, like, we're all, in that instance, we're in survival mode. We're defensive, we're takers. You want to take what you want out of it and leave the rest. Don't leave the rest if they're offering you a better chance at life, because I initially was hesitant about it, but actually taking the chance on somebody that was being genuinely helpful to me has changed my life like exponentially, and if somebody's taking the time out of their day to offer you help on the streets, chances are they're not looking to get something from you, because they could get something from somebody that actually has something. Us on the streets, we have nothing worth taking. They're probably trying to help you.
So like when I'm driving, sometimes I'll see guys and I always ask a name. I've heard that's a good thing to ask their name and develop rapport with that way. Is that smart? Or
yeah, definitely. Anytime you make something personal. Like I flew a sign in one of the busiest intersections in Dallas for like 9 hours a day sometimes, and nobody would roll their window. Sometimes nobody would look at me.
right.
Like everybody's so focused on the guilt of not giving to you or whatever that they don't want to look over at you. But I wouldn't have a single person say a word to me, give me a penny, and that when you see something like 30,000 people pass by you in an intersection throughout the whole day and not one person cares enough to even like acknowledge the fact that you're standing there. But the difference is like if you actually say, hey man, it's going to be all right, and say something kind, and especially if you ask their name and make it personal, that is definitely, I remember those few times that, somebody went a little step beyond just here's $1,
Right.
like actually making eye contact or asking me my name or asking me if I'm okay. Those things, those little acts of kindness make a big difference. Even if it didn't change my life that day, none of them were wasted, because it's what.
Right. Yeah, I think from the other side of perspective, often we don't, like, people don't know how to help. So we're like, I'll usually try to give water, or if somebody says they're hungry, I'll go get them food and bring them food. Like, what do you think is the best thing to is somebody that doesn't know what to do? What would be the best thing?
People a lot of times are like, "Oh, I won't give a homeless person money." The reality of that is, and this is just my opinion, but it's closed
Hmm.
minded. It's like saying somebody's coming back to work after getting sober. You don't want to give them too much money because they might relapse.
Right.
They might relapse if you don't give them too much money. That person might take that food and that water you gave them and go trade it to somebody else that's homeless that wants food and water and has drugs and still get drugs.
Hmm.
That's not up to you. If you're going to do an act of kindness, it doesn't matter what you offer the person. You can give a homeless person cash if they do what they do with it. That's
Hmm.
not on you. You still provided the act of kindness, acting like you know better than them.
Right.
We're all in the same
Hmm.
life. We're all in the same struggle. We don't have any power to judge and say, "Oh, I know better than this person." So I feel like I give homeless people money all the time now. I know half of them are gonna go get high with it, but I know that that act of kindness, the fact that I didn't shame them and say, "No, I don't think you're good enough to give you money. I'm just gonna buy what you need for you." It doesn't. It takes that judgment out of it, and it feels more personal and more caring. Because chances are, no matter what you gave them, I've given people a Newport. I know Newports on the street are, like that can get you a hit of drugs. Like I mean, that's just being real. But if you take it the science and the overthinking out of it, like if you're trying to do something nice for somebody, like what they do after that is on them and they're going to do what they do after that regardless. But if you make a genuine act of kindness and you take away the condescending part of it, it really seems more genuine, I
Right.
guess.
So what I'm hearing, asking the name is probably more important than even the money.
I used to tell people on the streets, and I mean, I would be starving and have no money. I'd be like, sometimes it's better to have somebody stop and genuinely, like, with a concerned look, be like, "Hey, man, it's gonna be okay. Hang in there,"
Hmm.
than to give me money because really, like, I missed that connection with people. Like, like it's sometimes somebody genuinely caring. Like, especially the people say, "Man, I don't have any money on me, but I wanted to roll my window down anyway and just tell you you're gonna be all right, man. I hate to see you
Hmm.
like this." Like that sometimes meant more than the person that shoved $5 in my hand and wouldn't look at me.
Right.
And
Right.
that's genuine.
Yeah, and like to bring that into recovery, so we define active addiction as a hopeless state of mind and body. And so what happens for me is like I received a message of hope early on, like you have, and then that combats the dis-ease, And
Yeah.
so what were some like messages of hope you received early on? Because you really expedited very quickly here.
Yeah. First it was an H&I. Uh, I got into treatment. I I hadn't showered in a couple of years. I hadn't had anybody in my world in several years. I hadn't kept a phone for years, so I like lost all track of like current events and stuff, but also interactions with people, and was all the way at the bottom of society. Like I literally ate out of dumpsters for the last couple of years. So I get into this treatment where a lot of people in there, and I still feel like this is judgmental when I say it, but it's just to make understand and know the perspective. A lot of people in there come for money and they've been in there 11 or 20 times, and they go in there, they complain about the food and the staff and all this stuff, and I'm sitting there thinking like, man, this is the best food I've ever eaten in my life. Like I didn't come from money, so like even before I got on the streets and stuff, like it never had 30 days worth of 3 meals a day that were that good. And these people are complaining about the food, so to me I felt like I was different. And that's what our disease, as you called it, does to us. Like we find any way to dissociate from anything that could get us help. And I was back in the corner every time there was a H and I, the farthest corner away from the speaker you could get, with my knees tucked up in my chair, like in a ball, just hiding because I didn't want to share. I didn't relate at
Mhm.
that point. And all these people would come into the H and I's happy, healthy, with friends. Some of them had matching shirts and stuff. They all had on nice shoes. And I've never seen happy, successful, sober people, so I felt like these are just more of these people that come for money that probably like drank so much their job had a problem with it, but they didn't really have a problem with it. And now they're doing well and they're just bragging about it. But then one H and I, like the first week I was in there, it's probably a weekend. One H and I came in, and the guy told his story, like the experience part. And the experience part, anybody that comes from where I come from, like hardcore drug use on the streets, any kind of rough, upbringing, you don't make that stuff up. I don't care how good you've studied it or whatever. Like the look in somebody's eyes when they tell those stories tell you whether or not it's genuine. And that cat really had come from a life like what I'd come from. But he was sitting there in his trendy shirt with his nice shoes and his buddies that, that he's got friends and he's happy and successful in sobriety. And he's also volunteering his time after a hard day of work to come in there for free and talk to us. So after the H&I went up and I asked him, I was like, man, I just want you to know first that I come in here and I don't feel like I belong. I was homeless, I'm in here on a scholarship. I don't have money. This is all new to me, but all these people are different than me, like I'm not an alcoholic. I'm a junkie. I was like, and I've been a junkie since I was 15. I'm 40. I just turned 40 in here. I was like, you seem like you know what that means. I was like, and you did this. I didn't think I had a chance to do what these people are doing because I'm different, So how did you do this? And he said, I did it just the same as they will if they'll do it. And that to me, gave me a little bit of willingness to start paying more attention. Mm-hmm. And I actually talked to him again like a week later because he came back and did another H&I a week later. And he elaborated a little more like, yeah, man, just all you got to, like, you got something these people don't have, which is the gift of desperation. Because you've been taken all the way down to where you have a willingness, a desire. These people are being forced into it for whatever reason. I'm pretty sure you came in here just because you were done, And I will say that gift of desperation and the real low bottom has been a blessing for me because I don't think I would have been willing and able to do this successfully had I not been beaten all the way down first.
Yeah, man, it's identify a lot with it, and so that's what we tell people new because a lot of new people are in here. So H&I is hospitals and institutions. That's the outbound group bringing a message of hope to the hopeless. Yeah. And then one thing they taught me early on was identify, don't compare.
Yeah.
So it sounds like when that guy was talking, it was another catchphrase. We talk about language of the heart, where it's like he's speaking directly to me. He don't even know it. Yeah. I'm like, wow, maybe I belong in here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know you do a lot of church. I mean, we've become friends here since we met and stuff like that. So, favorite Bible verse? What you got?
I think it's John 1:5. Put me on the spot. I forget it.
We could, we'll bring it up in the,
I've got it written down.
Okay,
but I'm new to all this. I started going to church when I came out.
Nice.
It's John 1:5. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. That's something that before I got into church, my spiritual side, like I always said, we're all sons of the sun. That makes us like little stars or light bringers, And a light does no good in a well-lit room, The whole reason we are light is because we're supposed to light the path for somebody else in their dark times, give them a chance to find their light so they might shine in the end, But I really like that verse because, it's definitely...
I'm very familiar with it. Yeah, that's a huge synchronicity. You mentioned that. So, after 9/11, it was crazy in the rooms, and like head of state used that line. So it's crazy, bro. It's crazy that you mentioned that here. I don't want to cry on the podcast, but I think I just did.
That's all right. That's all right. I've been fighting it myself. Yeah, this is deep stuff,
Yeah. No, it's real talk, bro, and that's what it's about, though. Language of the heart there. So, also, you do spoken word.
Yeah.
You have something you want to share, or what you got?
I don't memorize my poetry, but I've got one I wrote that I haven't actually done yet, so I'll share with you. If you want. I always tell people like a prelude to these things, like it's unedited or whatever, but I'm not going to do all that. It is what it is. I'm Tay. I started as a dumpster set ablaze, lost in the garbage for most of my days, risen from the ashes like a phoenix from my haze. I rose up, I woke up, no longer in a daze. I came back to the Lord, now rise up his voice in my praise. Oh, now rise up my voice in his praise. I shine so bright, the lost I lead their ways. I pulled a good woman, one of my finest plays. I shine in the sky, but it's all by his grace. I learned to manage my time, I've set a new pace. I'm not a runner, I won't win a race. But if you show me your hand, up my sleeve there's an ace. The Lord is my shepherd. Against a holy star you don't stand a chance. I'm the kind of star that might not look bright at a quick glance, But if you focus on me, away melts the semblance of ignorance. In time you will find I am not the brightest of kinds. Fall out of focus, I'm still burned in your mind.
That's awesome.
A star like me might make you wish to rewind. Sorry, that's just my ego. It still comes out sometimes. But here now I sit, a light in the heavens. Dumpster fire hit the lotto. I got triple sevens. Now that he has cranked me up past 11, there is nothing on earth that I remain dreading. All things are possible through him, so now I'm beheading fear and doubt. Now it's the moon I'll be betting. 'Cause I'm so high and bathed in light, you'll need a spaceship to attend my next wedding. I'm out of this world if you know what I'm saying. I'm like a diamond and on a blue blanket I'm now laying. But I still recall being flaming trash, just dreaming and praying.
That was awesome, man. We gotta put a beat on that. And
Yeah.
I got a few friends that can rap.
Yeah, definitely different context and not something I'll share, but I actually was writing a little bit of rap when I was still in treatment, still
Okay.
fighting sickness, and it's misogynistic and not of my current program,
Okay.
but I've got no rhythm and I don't, I'm tone deaf, so I can write music, but I can't perform it.
Yeah. So it's like you have this God given talent and ability. So like, we're recording this in early December 2025. You just had your first sober Thanksgiving. What was that like?
Man, it was really nice. I've got a new girlfriend, and I've got a job, so I work with a crane operator, and he invited the two of us to come to his house. She just moved down here, and I, of course, don't have family here, so he invited us to his house for Thanksgiving. We went there and ate with him and his girl and kids and stuff, and I realized leaving there that I haven't had a good holiday period, like not one in probably 6 years, but I definitely haven't had a good Thanksgiving in like 8 or 10 years. And leaving there, I realized like I was happy. It was a good time. I got to socialize with people as a normal human being. Like she had a good time. The food was amazing. The food was
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
What was your favorite thing?
This sounds funny, but deviled eggs.
Okay.
Uh,
All right.
I found eggs late in life, so that's one of the newer things for me.
Got some protein note there too, bro.
Oh, they're good though.
And then, so we have Christmas and the New Year coming up. So what would you say? Like, what's 2026 is whatever 4 weeks away.
Yeah.
What does God have planned for you in 2026?
I've been practicing the surrender thing, like as well as I can to my ability. So I try not to make plans. I have like ambitions or goals, but I don't put timelines on them because I realize it's all in God's time. But I'm actually working on a couple of things. I'm trying to go back to Vegas to try to pick up the other kid that the YouTubers were trying to get here. I got him a scholarship already set aside, so I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to start doing some of what the guy that picked me up does. I really want to give back. The 12 step is giving back what was so freely given to you. A lot of people take that as sponsorship or whatever, but I read it for what it is. What was so freely given to me was a lot more than that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been taking out of my time to like help homeless people in small ways because I don't have a lot of resources, but I'm trying to up my resources so that I can do it in bigger ways, and that's starting to get in motion. But I also have a larger goal of I really want to start a treatment center.
Okay.
I don't know if 2026 will I don't know if but I've accomplished all this in 6 months, so I figure it's a possibility.
So you said with God all things are possible.
Amen.
Yeah. Are we allowed to mention the YouTuber? I mean, we're both friends with him, but you know him better than me.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think he has a problem with it. Victor the Good Boss, y'all, is very well renowned. He's got a lot of followers. If y'all don't know him, you should definitely check him out. I love promoting him because of what he does. He's one of those people that had nobody backing him or starting pushing him in that direction. He went through prison and got sober, I believe is his story. But he started on his own just with his free time. He runs two businesses, a masonry business and a landscaping business, and he started on his own just going out and finding homeless drug addicts to help get off the streets. He would offer them treatment. He would start a GoFundMe for them while they were in treatment and then help them with their first steps out of treatment. And I think early on he offered them a job at his company. Like, if you go into treatment, I'll give you a job when you get out. and that of course blew up so viral that he just started, helping people in other ways because he started venturing outside of Boston. So, but yeah, definitely, I
Yeah.
promote. And Nate, the other one, just Nate.
Okay.
He's in Reno and does
Okay.
a similar thing. He started in his basement, started with a couple of backpacks full of supplies for homeless people, and he just goes out and looks for homeless drug addicts to help for no reason other than the kindness of his heart. And I think that's huge.
And how long did it take from like first contact from them to be on the plane? Like,
Oh, I walked up because I saw them giving that other kid a sleeping bag and a tent,
right.
and I think it was within 24 hours I was on a plane.
Wow. That quick. They expedited you that quick.
They gave me a phone that night and told me to call them the next morning. I called them the next morning. And that day they spent taking me to a truck stop to get a shower. They took me to Walmart, got me a wardrobe and stuff. And I didn't have an ID, so they had to line up, getting me on a plane from
Sure.
Vegas all the way
Uh-huh.
to Miami
Yeah.
through TSA and all that with
Mhm.
no ID. But yeah, that night I took off or late that night, early in the morning, and
That's amazing, dude.
woke up in Miami.
Yeah. Yeah. And shout out to both of them. I mean, I know Victor
Yeah,
not as well as you do, but yeah, just an amazing soul, and
yeah.
looking forward to trying to help him as much as we can.
Yeah, he still comes down here. Like we went to Denny's the other day, like
Hmm.
he's a real busy guy. So that saying that everybody that he helps that actually sticks with it, he
Right.
still takes the time out of his day to make special trips down here, to bring other people to treatment or just to check on us. That's huge.
So one thing when we were talking earlier about helping others, and like saying the lack of resources. So here's a consideration is what it is. So Tony Robbins says it best, not the lack of resources, it's the resourcefulness.
Yeah,
So a lot of resources are given to people that are having problems.
yeah,
Your story is all resourcefulness.
yeah,
You're way more powerful than whatever X number of dollars it takes to fly somebody from Vegas to Florida.
yeah.
Your story is very powerful. So how do we maximize that message going out to help others?
Um, Something I ran into here recently. Another person in Vegas had commented on the social media story, and they were trying to help somebody young get off the streets. So I went through the process of finding out like the state funded facilities and stuff. It's not ideal for those of us that have, like a job or, like
Mhm.
other resources. But for somebody that's homeless on the streets, there are resources that will take you into treatment and then get you a caseworker and try to help you get housing and stuff for free.
Mhm.
So I want to say, like, if you don't have a YouTuber just stumble across your path and pluck you up off the streets like I was,
Mhm.
because not everybody's
Right.
rewarded that.
Mhm.
If you really desire to get help, man, please go to the website and look it up. I mean, it's real simple to do. Like just look up state funded facilities near me, treatment that'll take me without insurance or whatever. And there's some of them that are walk ins. You can walk in any time of the day, and they'll take you in. And if you really want to get out of your situation, that's something I realized. I was desperate to get out of mine. I was trying to make plans in the time when they come across me. I was already trying to go to California because I wanted to get to a beach to kick fentanyl.
Mhm.
And I was determined. That's why I got on that plane. That's why I took the offer when it was given to me. But there are a lot of people out there that are ready, they're desperate, and they don't know that they have options. You don't have to have somebody supporting you or money to get help. Like you just have to take that first step.
Mhm.
You make it into a place, and it might not be a great place, it might be a state-run facility, but I promise you take out of things what you put into them. If you're putting in,
Mhm.
the desire to get better, you
Right.
can get better in the worst of places. Like it doesn't take.
Mhm. Yeah, so something that's hitting my heart here now. Now you mentioned both Good Nate and Victor the Good Boss.
Yeah.
So like we'll do. Let's just say if you could say something directly to Victor right now, what would it be?
Uh, right now, uh, man, you're doing a great job, but like saving the world still, you got to take a breath every once in a while. Victor is so overwhelmed. Like every time I talk to him, like he's 90 to nothing, and he does all his stuff himself still. He's got 8 million followers. He's helped countless people get off the streets. He still supports all of them, and then still taking people off the streets, plus doing other projects and running two businesses. He's got a fiance and a little girl.
Mhm.
So I talk to him sometimes, and he just sounds like he told me one time he's like, feel like I got to save the world and da da da, and I just don't have enough time, So
Right.
it's take a breath, like the world needs saving, and you're doing a great job at it, but you've got to be on your best in order to save people when the time comes to save them. So like learn to pace yourself because you're doing a great job. Like the stressing about it
Right.
isn't gonna help anything.
And what about good Nate? What would you say to him?
Just Nate,
Just
just Nate
Nate.
with a
Okay.
K.
Okay. My bad.
Uh, I hope I get to see you soon. Uh, I've seen Victor more than I've seen Nate since then. They're different areas and yeah, I miss you, Nate, and I hope I get to see you soon.
Cool. Cool. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's just this connection, like your raw authenticity. Is just. I gotta go back to my question board here. You know what I'm saying? You're firing here. So let's talk. Let's kind of gear it more towards now early recovery.
Yeah.
So when did you start your step work in 12-step world?
All right, so I got my sponsor like I think my second week in treatment, and he came up there a couple of times and we did some reading, but I really didn't start like putting pen to paper or nothing until right after I got out.
Okay.
And I've got an amazing sponsor. I mean, an amazing sponsor. And he used to come pretty much every Saturday early in the morning to my sober living. We'd sit in the carport and we'd do step work. And he made me do it slow. I got frustrated with that at first. All these other people I went through treatment with were like done with their steps, and doing this other stuff. And my house manager wouldn't let me speak at H&I's until I finished my step work. So I was real amped about doing this because it was such a big part of, and I was just, pushing
Right.
things faster than I should have been. So my sponsor made me really thoroughly go over everything. Like we went through the steps, and I think it took like 5 months.
Okay.
But I'm glad we did it that way because going back on it now, I realized I'd just come back to being a person. I hadn't put much thought into anything. So if I'd have, like, I didn't even realize I had character defects, Like, how are you going to, like, write down your character defects and then process all of them when you just now realize you have them? So I'm
Right.
actually I'm doing the traditions now, but I plan on going back through the steps after that because now I've got a whole nother scope of, like you said, my process has been expedited a whole lot. It's a whole lot at once. I went from completely broken and, like, lost my mind for 5 years to now I'm where I'm at. So the process. But the step work was definitely. I didn't get to go to IOP or OP or any of those things out of treatment. I didn't have an ID or insurance or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have money, so I went straight into a sober living, which Victor and Nate helped me, until I got a job paying for that. But if I hadn't have found the community down here of AA and the sobriety community, the support community, I don't think 30 days was enough for sure. I definitely would have fallen, in that first couple of months. But as soon as I got to that sober living between my sponsor and the other guys there, they kept pushing the AA meetings. I wasn't required to go to them, but I lived in them. And through that and the step work, like that's really the extension of treatment for you, 12 steps is amazing, as you know, like, but for me, as broken as I was and as much repair as I needed to do, that whole cleaning my side of the street was something that did take a minute. And
Right.
it was definitely detrimental to my success.
So I know the owners, Palm Beach Recovery Center is where you got the scholarship.
Yeah.
What would you say to them too? I mean, they're salt of the earth, good guys too.
Oh man, that's my family. I love those guys. I was actually doing an H&I commitment there for a little while. When I finally finished my step work, I dropped it. I'm working a job where I work really hard, and I was spreading myself thin, so I finally dropped it. But I did it for like a month or a month and a half, and I've actually taken a couple of people up there to treatment since then. Talk to Dan all the time. I don't see Dave as much, but I love those guys. Like that's Miss Kathy there. I mean, that's become like family. I still go to the alumni. I missed it this last week, but I still go to the alumni. That's where I pick up my chips for links of sobriety, and that's where all of my friends and my family are. It's become my family. I love that place.
Yeah, I remember we first met. We were all wearing the same shirts. Like I got the joke what you said earlier. We're all wearing the 9-line shirts.
Yeah, the 9-line shirts. Yeah,
and so that's when I first met you. And I just remember your class of guys in there were all tight knit.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and a lot of them are still. Some of them actually started working there now, but we all still go to alumni. I mean, I still go
yeah,
eat with some of them sometimes. Like that's
yeah. And so Dan will send me the daily text, and I remember that very next day after whatever it was 6 7 months ago when you're in there, I was like, that is such a I've never seen a tight knit. I've been doing hospital institution commitment for 20 years,
yeah.
so I've never seen a unit so like looking out for each other and bonded. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize it. I've been helping other people with sobriety now and
Hmm.
treatment and stuff. And talked to somebody the other day, and they're like, "Yeah, I went in and I did not have the experience you had. Somebody got kicked out for having heroin in there, and somebody's having seizures and all this, and nobody was serious about it, and everybody was giving them problems." And it struck me. I've only done this once, so I never thought about other people's experience and how tight knit our group was, but. I was blessed with that, like we were all actually very serious about our recovery. We went to the groups. We carried notebooks around everywhere. We did our own little groups on the side, like we were very driven because all of us were, it was life or death for us, like that was, and I was real blessed with that because now realizing that other people don't get that experience, you can go in anywhere and it depends on the time,
Yeah.
the crowd, but between the staff and the other patients there, like I've never felt that much love in a place in my whole life.
Yeah, man. As I'm getting to know you better during this, it's the X factor. And my boy in Staten Island, he says if you spot it, you got it.
Yeah.
So for like my coach has a commitment to excellence. I can't slack on anything because he's in the back of my mind talking the whole time.
Yeah.
And you seem to have that same commitment to excellence, and anything that you do, you're successful. So you've mentioned your job a few times. I hear you're employee of the month. Talk to me about that.
Oh yeah. So I remember being on the streets. Let's start with this. I remember being on the streets, and about 3 years in, it hit me, and I just one of those phrases that used to pop out all the time was, "Man, I miss being proud of myself more than I miss my wife." I was
Mhm.
desperately, alone, but I missed being proud of myself. I was successful in careers prior to getting homeless and all the way out there, and today, I've started a job like 4 months ago, I think ish, and I build seawalls on the intercoastal. So I work with a barge and a crane. I'm a pile driver. I started off as a deckhand. I've gotten a promotion, and this month I made employee of the month and got a raise, and um, killing it. Like and not taking pride into it, but I'm doing what I do in a work situation. I'm putting all the effort in and learning new things and making sure things. I'm making sure that the company sees like a change in
Right.
production when I'm around. And I realized the other day, like after they told me I was employee of the month, like I left there, like normally that would be cheesy to me,
Mhm.
like back before all this, but today it was a sign of like I left there proud of myself, like I had missed being proud of myself so much, and this is all God. I've got to say that, like I didn't do any of this, some people gave me some stuff, people gave me a plane ticket, people plucked me up off, without God and other people, like I would still be in a ditch somewhere, probably dead on fentanyl. But on top of that, like I have put in the work since I got here. Like I did take the opportunity. I do try, every day. I try to carry those morals, in all of my affairs and making that change. At the end of the day, I'm not only proud of myself for the moral change and the perspective change, but I'm also proud of myself for the work ethic because
Mhm.
you get done working on the water with concrete, we do concrete seawalls. It's not it's not a light job, like I'm tired when I get home. And I still take the time after that to go speak at a H&I or go to a meeting. And then when I get home from that, I'm real tired, but that gratification of feeling accomplished at the end of the day, that's what I meant when I said I miss being proud of myself because I used to do real hard work. And at the end of the day, I actually slept good because I knew I hadn't fucked off all day or whatever. Like
Mhm.
I had actually done something.
So I know you know electricity better than me. What is a conduit?
A conduit is just a pipe that you run wires through, you know.
And it shoots energy out. That's what I understand, right? Like
Oh,
energy will
oh,
go through it.
a conduit. That's two different. That's like the scientific term. That's a conductor is what you're referring to. I think
Okay.
conduit. Yeah. So if you
Okay.
put energy in, it'll come out the other side. Yeah.
All right. So the metaphor for me, what I see is like people put energy into you, and now you're putting out even more energy out, and that's like when I have the honor of like sitting at a kitchen table with somebody and we open the book, it's not my knowledge. You know what I'm saying? It's just experience that was passed to me.
Yeah.
But then that's the resourcefulness of going by. Like it's like I get it from start from the bottom. We had different bottoms. For me, it was no shoelaces
Yeah.
in a treatment in a psychiatric unit.
I've had no shoelaces before.
Yeah. Them really cool red slippers,
Yeah.
But that bottom serves me. So now when I do an H&I, I'm like, yo, y'all have it better than me. You got nice kicks on, bro.
Yeah.
And they understand that. It's the language of the heart. But yeah, the energy goes through us. Yeah.
Yeah, that's back to that Bible verse, like
Mm-hmm.
we are all, light in some way or another for somebody else. Even if you take the worst person in the world, I guarantee they messed up on one day and accidentally showed somebody away somewhere. And that person that they showed away, found their light and they shine. It's not that it comes out more energy. It's just, it takes a spark to start a fire. However much fuel you got for your fire, might illuminate a lot more than somebody else's. But it took a spark to start my fire. It took a spark to start yours.
Yeah. And so like another verse I remember looking at years ago talks about nobody lights a candle and puts it under a basket.
Yeah.
So here we are on the internet. You're a spark, you're a force, bro. You're the Olympic torch, you're burning.
Yeah.
Like what do you think God wants out of you?
That's still to be seen. I got some small things I'm working towards. I kept having it put strongly on my heart that I should be doing more. That's why I started my little beach meeting that I have. That's why I've been doing the H&Is, trying to share my story.
Shout out to beach meet because a lot of people come to Florida.
Oh, okay. So I run a beach meeting. It used to be there's an app that tells you where to find meetings, the meeting guide.
Shout out. People want to come to Delray Beach.
So there was this meeting on there when I first got into sober living, and I went to it on my own one day, and there was no meeting there. It was advertised, but there's no meeting there, so it had fallen off. Like they'd stopped running it, but it was still advertised. So the next week, I found out somebody else had gone there and found the same thing. There was no meeting there. So a month later, friends of mine were going to it, and they come by my house, and they're like, "We're going to this beach meeting." So I didn't say a word about there not being a beach meeting there. I just got in the car with them. So when we pulled up there and they start looking around, realizing nobody's there, I just opened up with, "Hi, I'm Tay. I'm an alcoholic. We're going to start this meeting off with a moment of silence," because I had heard it only takes 2 people to have a meeting. There was 3 of us. I figured it worked. So we had a little meeting, just the 3 of us, and that inspired me to go track down the people that used to run it. But the meeting is Beach Bums. It's in Delray. It's right there where Atlantic meets the A1A. It's every Friday at 6:30 in the evenings. But
so if this goes viral, you may have 1,000 people in the middle of
I
the
got a
season.
microphone and a speaker so we could hear over the wind, so it'll work out. Y'all are more than welcome to come.
That's awesome.
There's a solution there, I promise you.
Nice. What else would you like? So let's talk a little bit more about your early recovery here. Like, what would you recommend to a guy that doesn't have the bottom as you? He's sitting in a beautiful house in A1A, but he's dying because he wants what you have. What would you say to somebody that comes from means, whatever?
That's something I've learned through doing the H&I commitments and sharing the meetings and stuff and listening to people's stories. And I'm real observant. I pay a lot of attention. I tell people I'm real intelligent for a retard, and that's just an analogy for, you see where I came from. I'm obviously not that bright, but
Don't tell me about your sex life.
right? But
we'll edit that out.
No, you're good. What I've learned though is it doesn't matter really what you struggle with or how low your bottom is, or if you had all the love in the world, and if you can't stop, you can't stop. And it's the same whether it's alcohol, whether it's sex addiction or gambling. Like, if you have an addiction and you can't stop, it doesn't matter what your highs and your lows were, what your financial situation. That shit doesn't discriminate. It wants to take you down and out, and it wants to put you where I was, regardless of ethnicity, creed, color. It doesn't matter. And the solution I found is the same. Just like that guy told me at that H&I, like, I did the same thing they'll do if they'll do it, like you lean on your higher power, you share your problems with another human being. I don't know what it is about taking what's inside you and putting it out. I think it's more validation to yourself, because the person doesn't really have to receive it. You just have to tell it to you have to say it out loud to somebody in front of somebody. I think that's more, it makes it real to you because we're real good at lying to ourselves.
Mhm.
So you share it with another person, you start leaning on a higher power. You don't have to understand that higher power. You don't have to believe in it. It says in there in the work, like if you're constantly seeking a connection with a higher power, that's good enough. You don't have to ever find it.
Mhm.
But you put a higher power in the mix, start sharing your problems with another man and being honest with yourself. You
Okay.
start being honest with yourself, and then you try to make an effort to do better. I mean, it's as simple as that to me. But you can be on Wall Street making millions of dollars and realize and not have anything pressing. It's not threatening your job. It's not threatening. You still got your wife and kids and your house and all of that. But if you do those things because you can't stop something, it's still going to help you stop it.
Mhm.
Or you can be all the way at the bottom fixing to die and them telling you, your liver ain't going to take no more. You can't come in here again. You take one more drink, it's going to kill you. And that hasn't been enough up to this point. But if you start doing those things, you start working those steps. Thirdly, rarely have we seen a person fail, right? That's how it
Mhm.
works. You take the suggestions and you put your all into those steps, like life or death. Like I said, to me, it's life or death. I don't believe I have another recovery in me. So I fight for my sobriety like I fought to get high.
Mhm.
But if you make those commitments with a little bit of willingness, it doesn't matter where you're at. I think it works the same for everybody.
Right. Yeah. My one of my closest friends, he always would say, "Do this thing like your life depends upon it," because
Yeah,
it does. Yeah.
most certainly does. I know that. That's I learned through my experimentation. I smoked fentanyl there at the end. I learned you can gain a tolerance to Narcan.
Wow. Yeah.
I
Uh,
Narcan once the first time I OD'd.
mhm.
Immediately gasped for breath, woke up, mad because I was in precipitated withdrawals. If anybody knows about it, it's terrible. But the last time I overdosed, which was 50 to 100 times later, I don't know. They had to Narcan me 7 times, and they had given up and were writing down the time of death when I finally took a breath a whole minute later
Wow.
after the seventh Narcan. So you can gain a tolerance to Narcan.
Huh.
You can also lose your tolerance to fentanyl. So I really believe if I was to go back to fentanyl, my luck and God's humor, I would still have the tolerance to Narcan, but not have the tolerance to fentanyl, and I'd just
Right.
be screwed.
Did you have any kind of experience when that minute? Did you see the light or anything, or what was
I
going on?
I couldn't tell you that. Unfortunately, fentanyl is one of those drugs that when you overdose on fentanyl, regardless of the experience, a week later you don't remember it happened. People will argue, I've never OD'd on fentanyl. I've OD'd 40 times because it puts you in such a haze you really don't.
Mhm.
People that talk about it is because someone sat there and reminded them every minute after that,
Right.
for a good month straight because that keys in the memory.
Mhm.
But if you're out there on the streets alone and you OD on fentanyl, chances are you didn't know you OD'd because
Wow.
you're in such a haze.
So, what would you talk specifically somebody that's using fentanyl? What would you say to them?
I love you and you don't got to live like that. There is a way out. I didn't believe it. I knew. Now I'm gonna tear up. I knew I was gonna die on fentanyl. I didn't know if I would die alone or on the streets or any of that, but I never believed. In the last year, I was desperately distraught over the fact that I was convinced that I would die either dope sick or high on fentanyl. I didn't think there was a chance in the world that I would ever get out of that. But now today, I know that God willing, like you can escape that. It's not like they talk about a hopeless, like
Mhm.
y'all don't even understand what hopeless means unless you've been, one of those shaken alcoholics. If you don't have it, you hate it, you don't want it, but you've got to go get it or you're gonna die.
Mhm.
Fentanyl is like that. The detox off of it is hell, and it's such a long thing, and it trains your brain to trick you into thinking you're gonna die if you don't have it.
Mhm.
And I hated it. I hated being that hopeless. I hated thinking that I was gonna die that low class of a person in my eyes because I had no respect for people that did fentanyl. And once I got on it, I had no respect for myself, and I hated the fact that I was gonna die like that. So if you're out there on fentanyl, just know there is hope. You can do it. Trust me. Look at me. I was completely batshit crazy on the streets, eating out of dumpsters, hadn't showered in 2 years, smoking fentanyl every single day for years. And now I have an amazing life. I'm happy. I'm free. I have peace of mind. I don't spaz out on a bad day. I don't have the desire to use anymore. I literally don't have the desire to use anymore, and that's miraculous.
It's amazing, bro. And then, yeah, that's so deep, dude. I had a question, but it completely went out of my mind, man. It's just amazing. Like, what I've been told is a very little margin for error nowadays.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's something else I'll speak on real quick. People don't know this. I was in treatment, and like this real nice lady, she's got kids. She just came down because she was doing the kratom, and
Mm-hmm.
they started putting fentanyl in the kratom. She didn't know this, but she was testing positive for fentanyl. Like
Right.
I'm waiting for them to put it in liquor.
Right.
They've put it in everything else. I've seen it in Xanaxes. I've seen it in cocaine. I've seen it in meth. So it doesn't matter what substance you use. If you're using a substance, the fentanyl industry, the dealers, however you want to address that,
Right.
they want you on fentanyl because it's the most expensive and it's the most detrimental and it's the most addictive. So they put it low doses in everything because once somebody realizes they're hooked on it, they're not going to go through that hell to get off of it
Right.
because it is hell to get off of it.
Right.
So, like I said, be careful no matter what you do. I mean, no matter what you do, you can get a bad batch that has fentanyl in it. And if you don't have a tolerance to fentanyl and there's not somebody with Narcan or life-saving information around you, like there's a real small chance that you'll survive it because people without a tolerance to fentanyl, this much of it will kill you 5 times, It's dangerous. And those people that do fentanyl will tell you they know well enough. Doesn't matter how much of a tolerance you got to fentanyl, it's not hard to overdo it or get a batch that's stronger than what you're used to and be dead in a second. There is little. The last 2 years I was on the streets, I remember I racked my brain over thinking it through, but 30 people that I sat next to and got high on a regular died in a 2-year period.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention, like all of my lifelong friends in 2019 back home died, most of them fentanyl related.
Right. And here we are,
Yeah.
chilling in Boca Raton.
Yeah.
And an amazing dude. It's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, that's why I thank God every morning because I wake up, my first thought is I'm not dope sick and I'm here, I'm not there. Like, thank you, God.
So we're definitely going to put photos of your sunrises on here too. So I know you go to the beach every morning. What are your other rituals in the morning?
I wake up every morning, like I said, my first thought is, holy shit, because, it's still,
Yeah.
only 6.5 months from being that, and I was 6 years or better of being that. So every morning, my first thought is, holy shit, and a smile comes over my face because I realize I didn't die in that shit. I made it, like I made it. And I'm here now, my life is amazing. And I'm not dope sick. So I have a pillow under my bed and I pull my pillow out and I hit my knees and I thank God for that great feeling I just had, and for my life today because my blessings are innumerous, like I could fill a whole notebook with my gratitude list today. So, and then I get ready for work. I leave my house and I drive a very short way down the road, go to my favorite little beach spot, and I spend an hour on the beach doing prayer, meditation, even though I just prayed, because that's
Right.
what I've learned has brought me all of this, it's a little bit of discipline, routine with my higher power. If he keeps blessing me, I'm going to keep telling him thank you because I never thought somebody like me would have something like this before I died.
Yeah. One of the things we say in personal development is that God doesn't call the qualified; He qualifies the called.
Yeah.
Meaning, like everything that we've gone through was part of like whatever the spiritual armor to serve. You think of as you're talking, the friends from back home, the people on the street, and here you are living an amazing life very quickly. And the thing that the old timers like, if you wrote down what you wanted out of life, your first 30 days, you'd shortchange yourself.
I already, yeah. I haven't even gotten halfway there to my first year. That's what my sponsor told me. Tell me where you'd like to be in a year. I'm only 6 months in, and I've blown it out the water.
Yeah. But it's going to be like, you're going to watch this 2 years from now. You're like, what was I doing with that studio with Mike Dorado, bro? You know what I'm saying? Like, I got 85 million followers. And,
I won't call it, but
I think he has a plan for you, dude.
Somebody asked me the other day what some of my goals were, and I told them one of my goals, and they're like, so that's the dream? And I was like, no, that's just the startup. I lived so small for so long. I've decided I can dream real big. I might be naive in thinking so, but I really want to change the world before I kick it.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like that, like a lot of the guys I listen to, like God wants you to make bold statements. So then if we're working through him or that conduit or the conductor, that energy can flow out. So for me, like the vision is to like change the paradigm with mental health and addiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I think mental health is spiritual giftedness. We're present to certain things that other people aren't. We just don't know how to articulate it.
I hated it when I was young because I also have, the
Hmm.
mental side of it, and I felt like I did not belong here. I felt like I wasn't the same species, and I used to cry about it all the time. And coming out the other side of all of this and having what I have now and the connection with the higher power and the opportunities that I've been blessed with, I realized that God does everything for a reason. That's definitely true. And it allowed me to carry through my life with some things still intact in me throughout the whole process that I don't think I would be successful at this point in all the things that I'm successful at or have the opportunity to continue on in the path I am had it not been for those mental issues.
Hmm.
I won't explain too much on that now, but there's
Right.
definitely, I wouldn't change anything about my life, even the 5 years of hell I went through. I'm grateful for them
Mhm.
because God told me, you did exactly what I told you to do. Don't feel ashamed or guilty about anything. I've
Mhm.
forgiven you for everything. You got to forgive yourself because you did exactly what I needed you to do to understand the things that I needed you to understand for you to help the people in the future that you're going to help.
Mhm.
And I've already seen that, in action. So,
Fire. So we're gonna do a quick close real quick. I'm gonna give you a fist bump. Thank you
yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
But then also what we're gonna do is I didn't we could edit it in or out. I didn't know if you want to talk about the people's specialty back in Alabama. You want me to lead into a question on that or no? You tell me.
Uh, I mean, just my kids, I definitely want to shout out my kids, let them know I love them. I won't call them out by name or anything, but
Okay.
they know who they are. But
Right.
I love my kids. That's what sent me downward, was not being able to be around them. I just gave up on the rest of the world. But now that I've got them back in contact, somewhat, I definitely think about them daily, and all of this in some way or another is because of them. I would have gave up a long time ago and ate a bullet. But
Right. Yeah, that's the cool thing. So I've been in a relationship. I've been in Florida for 4 years now, and I've been in a relationship with a beautiful woman that whole time, and she's gone through the process. And just this past year, she got custody of of one of her daughters. Her other one's in college, and just to watch that transformation. So I know we've talked, and I know I didn't know if we wanted to bring it in there or not. You know what I'm
uh,
saying? But I know you're doing the footwork.
I just talked to my daughter last night, and that's I don't think I'll ever try to. I mean, they're old enough. The custody ain't an issue. If they want to come visit or do what they want to do. My
Right.
son's about to be 18. My daughter's 14.
Hmm.
I just want to be there the best for them that I can.
Well, the reason I'm not trying to go to a place we shouldn't go to, but
Yeah,
we have to remember there's other people in recovery
yeah.
that they think they have no options whatsoever, that they'll never be able to speak to their kids, they'll never see their kids or nothing.
I
You know?
definitely felt that way. I did not speak to my kids for 5 years. I didn't know if they were alive or not. And in just a week of being down here, they contacted the treatment center because they saw that video. If if that back to that hopeless state, like if you're hopeless about anything, like take a breath and realize it might not happen on your time, it might not happen today, but if you're trying to do the next right thing and God sees it, if it's meant to be, He'll make it happen, regardless. Hell or high water is a Southern term we used to use.
Mhm.
Come hell, you ain't stopping God's will. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I guarantee if you're what's best for your kids, at some point that's going to be seen, and even if it's not acknowledged, it'll still make you better for it, and at least one day if they ever hear about it, they're still going to be inspired by it. Don't ever lose hope, especially when it comes to your kids, because they're the only people in this world that'll ever love you unconditionally the way that you feel
Mhm.
like you should be.
All right, we're at that time. You want to do a spit real quick on one of your things, or
Not really.
okay?
That's it's hard for me on the poetry.
Okay.
I did it to get amped up to speaking in front of people.
Yeah.
But usually I'll read them one time, and that was the
Mhm.
only one that I have prepared that I haven't read
Oh
before.
yeah, I'm
So
just saying if you want to just a
yeah,
quick that you want to do a short, that I would just give you the thing. They'll do it. You can look right in the camera and do a quick short. We got a minute or okay.
It's not a poem, but something I'd like to share.
Okay, let's rock it.
Treatment based. I realized this. They talk about your recovery expires at midnight. Your recovery expires at midnight. So that means you got one day at a time. So I wrote this: one step at a time. A day is all I have, and it's arrogant of me to think that I can take on that whole day. I'm likely to fail at the next step. So why not pay attention to where my footing is, where I currently stand, and what's in front of me? Only then can I improve my chances of correctly taking the next step. That's how I'll make it through the day, is, a day full of successful steps. God willing, maybe then I won't fall.
Mr. Tay, I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Much love. And that was Angel Overcast. Thank you.